All right, good evening. We will get started at 5:30. We'll start with the mission statement. Students will be challenged to become college and career ready and lifelong learners. The ERUSD Unified School District will actively partner with the community as its leading educational institution that provides a technology-rich and innovative learning environment for all students. Moving on to item 1, call to order, roll call the members of the Board of Education. Start with Dr. Marino.
Present.
Mr. Contreras.
Present.
Mrs. Mejia.
Present.
Myself present, and then Mr. Lafarga online will be remote.
I'm present.
Thank you. Moving on to item 2, public comments on closed session items. Dr. Villegas.
We have no public comment items at this time.
Awesome. So we'll move on to item 3. We're going to adjourn to closed session and we will be back at 6:30. Thank you. So just for the record, I'd like to make clear for the record that this meeting is being conducted by teleconference with optional public virtual attendance. In addition, we have one trustee, Mr. LaFarga, attending from a private meeting location under AB 2449 due to just cause. I will now call the meeting to order. So any reports? So we'll go for reconvene in open session. Item A, roll call members of the administrative cabinet, Dr. Villegas.
Present.
Oh, okay, sorry. Let me go back, sorry. AB 2449 requires the vote. Oh, so just do the roll call again for us. Okay, so we'll start with this way, Dr. Marino. Present. Mr. Contreras.
Present.
Mrs. Mejia. Present. Ms. Perez present, and Mr. LaFarga.
Present.
Thank you. Okay, so moving on to, again, item 5, reconvene in open session. Oh, you have to vote. Oh, sorry. Okay, thank you. So let's take a vote. Dr. Marino? Yes. Mr. Contreras?
Yes.
Mrs. Mejia? Yes. Myself, yes. Mr. LaFarga?
Yes.
Thank you, 5-0. Thank you. So going back again to roll call members of the administrative cabinet, Dr. Villegas.
Present. And Dorazo Delgado, she's not able to make it today. Jasmine Chavez Diaz,
Present.
Cela Castañón,
Present.
Jaconda Rodriguez Padilla.
Present.
And we have Dean Coffin, Virginia Kelso not here today.
Thank you. Moving on to item B, Pledge of Allegiance. Jenny, do we have anybody? Okay, thank you.
Good evening, Madam President, Board of Education, Dr. Villegas, Administrative Cabinet, and community members. As principal of Rancho High School, I am honored to introduce one of our many outstanding students representing our school this evening. Giovanni Cabrera is a 12th grade student who exemplifies what the dawn is all about. Over the last 4 years, he has embraced the many opportunities, both academically and extracurricular, that our school has to offer. He attended Valencia Academy of the Arts and STEAM Academy for elementary and middle school respectively. While at El Rancho, Gio has been involved in the ACE Club, the National Honor Society, president of the Math Club, member of the Engineering Club, co-founder of the Robotics Club, member of the Water Polo team, captain of the swim team, captain of the Academic Decathlon, all while achieving a 4.71 GPA. Some awards and recognitions he has received include Scholar Athlete recognitions, Principal's Honor Roll for the past 4 years, AP Scholar with Distinction, National Hispanic Recognition Program Award, 3-year decathlete in which he obtained the highest score, and recently joined the 7,000 Points Club at the state level competition. Gio has been accepted to Cal State LA, Long Beach, Cal Poly Pomona, Laverne, UC Irvine, UC Santa Barbara, UCLA, UC Berkeley, and Caltech. He's planning to commit to Caltech and major in physics. Please join me in welcoming Giovanni Cabrera.
Good morning, esteemed board members, superintendent, distinguished cabinet members, and our valued community members. My name is Giovanni Cabrera, and I stand before you tonight as a senior proudly representing El Rancho High School. There is an intangible quality about El Rancho High School that sets it apart, something that resonated with me since my sophomore year. After much reflection, I've come to realize that this special quality isn't derived from its facilities or its accolades. Rather, it emanates from our remarkable staff which is our heartbeat of the school. Throughout my journey at El Rancho, I've been blessed to encounter exceptional educators who have shaped not only my academic growth, but also my personal development. These teachers have cultivated an atmosphere of learning that have inspired students to strive for excellence, nurturing a culture of achievement and aspiration. Tonight, I want to extend a heartfelt appreciation to 3 individuals who epitomized the spirit of dedication and excellence at El Rancho High School. Ms. Macias, my counselor, Mr. Melgar, my academic decathlon coach, and Mr. Francis, my math teacher. Ms. Macias embodies the essence of the staff at El Rancho, compassionate, respectful, and endlessly supportive. Throughout my time at El Rancho High School, she has been a beacon of support for me and many others. Her unwavering kindness and dedication she has for her students is remarkable. Her invaluable assistance during the college application process was much appreciated. Mr. Melgar, as a teacher and decathlon coach, has not only imparted knowledge, but has relentlessly believed in me. He saw potential in me that I hadn't recognized in myself. When recruiting me to the decathlon team, he knew I was capable of amazing things. He continuously believed in me and helped me realize that I could accomplish so much. He has inspired me to always try and reach every goal I have. He's opened my eyes and shown me that I am capable of accomplishing things I set my mind to. Thanks to him, I was able to finally medal in decathlon and be the team's top scorer. If this is what he's done for me, just imagine what he has done for countless other students. Finally, Mr. Francis, my math teacher, whose passion for teaching mathematics transcends the classroom. His math class taught me that failure should not be something to fear. During my time in calculus, I failed many times, but he showed me that these failures are not a learning experience. Because of Mr. Francis, I also realized what I wanted to do with my life. He showed me that I shouldn't do something because it was easy. Rather, I should do something that I genuinely enjoy doing, even when it gets hard. With this, I realized I enjoy doing math. When adversity and struggle came, I still enjoyed doing math. Driven by this passion, I realized that I wanted to become a physicist. Now, I can proudly say that I'm committing to California Institute of Technology to study physics. So, the greatness of El Rancho High School isn't measured solely by its facilities or its accolades, but by its unwavering dedication of its staff to inspire, empower, and uplift every student who walks through its doors. Tonight, I stand here as a testament to the profound impact our educators have on shaping the future leaders of tomorrow. Thank you. I'd like to invite you to now to please stand for the flag salute. Put your right hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can you come up to the podium one more time? Board members, any comments?
Yes, absolutely. You may not remember, but I first met you when you were in Valencia. That's when I met your wonderful parents, your mom. And what we heard right now is what I briefly shared at the last board meeting, how proud we are of your accomplishments, but also that our teachers here, our staff, they are creating the future scholars, the scholars of tomorrow. Congratulations. I know that you will accomplish many, many more things at Caltech. You make us proud.
Thank you.
Gio, after all these accolades, you got captain of the swim team, captain of the academic decathlon. I go on forever. You forgot the most important one, and you know which one it is. Where I met you at. Commentator at the robotics at Burke. You killed it over there. You did an awesome job. I'm very proud of you, and I know you're going to go on to do great things, and you inspire us to be up here and do what we do. So thank you very much.
Gio, it's been a joy to watch you grow up, seeing you at STEAM and then at El Rancho. You've done wonderful things. You're a huge inspiration to all the students, and like Trustee Contreras said, to us as well. Thank you.
Your speech says a lot about you, right? You had the opportunity to just talk about yourself and everything you've done. And I think the testament that you talked about the teachers and you're grateful for the high school says so much about you and says so much about our students. I think you are a great example. I'm so excited. I love math, so I'm so excited that you're going to Caltech, which is a huge accomplishment. And so I hope you come back one day and you're here on the board advocating. But again, congratulations. We're so, so proud of you.
Thank you. Congratulations, really proud of all of your accomplishments. And we have a little certificate to show our appreciation of you coming out here speaking about your wonderful teachers, your staff, yourself, and leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you can come up for a picture, we'd really love to give this to you. One more round of applause.
All right. Moving on, sorry, to item 6, adoption of the agenda. Dr. Vegas, are there,
We do have one amendment. And so I'd like to amend 16A1, the March 12th, 2024 minutes, a correction for the location. And so the meeting actually took place at El Rancho Unified School District Professional Development Center, Building J, and the address is 9333 Lock Lawman Drive, Pico Rivera, California, 90660. That would be the amendment.
awesome, thank you. Board members, can I get a motion to adopt the agenda as amended, or are there any changes? Sorry.
Move to adopt the agenda.
Sorry, thank you. Can I get a second?
Second.
So moved by Mrs. Mejia, second by Dr. Marino. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Hector?
Aye.
Perfect. Moving 5-0, so moving on to item 7, reports of actions taken in closed session. Dr. Vegas?
We have no actions to report.
Moving on to item 8, student reports. So we'll start with item A, ASB President for Rancho High School, Ms. Kelly Garcia.
Good evening, everyone. I am Kelly Garcia, Rancho High School's ASB president for the 2023-2024 school year. ASB is hard at work coming right back from spring break, as we'll be hosting a senior movie night tomorrow, April 3rd. All seniors will have the opportunity to watch the movie Grown Ups, as well as be provided with free food. Seniors are also being encouraged to dress up as Adam Sandler in order to receive bingo points upon check-in. On April 8th through the 11th, we'll be having our prom nominations, where the student body will be able to nominate a senior king and queen. On April 15th, we will acknowledge our spring sports during our spring sports rally in the main gym during lunch. Students are encouraged to come and support their team and wish them a good season. We will also congratulate and acknowledge our amazing decathlon team who placed 5th overall in state. Great job to all of our student scholars and athletes. On April 22nd through the 24th, students will have the opportunity to vote for the 2024 Prom King and Queen. Prom King and Queen will be announced at prom on April 27th at the Santa Anita Racetrack from 7:30 to 11:30 p.m. ASB continues to work hard preparing for our annual Dawn Games that will now take place on May 2nd in the main gym at 7 p.m. We also want to wish all our spring sport athletes a successful season and wish all our Dons the best of luck as they prepare for any upcoming tests, including their IB and AP tests. I want to thank you all for your time and hope you have a great night.
Thank you. Moving on to item B, ASB spokesperson for Salazar High School, Ms. ERUSD Sanchez.
Good evening, members of the Board of Education, District Administration, teachers, district staff, and community members. I hope you are all doing well. My name is ERUSD Sanchez, and I'm ASB president at Ruben Salazar High School, and I would like to share a few events that are happening on our campus. First of all, I hope everyone had a happy Easter and a great spring break. Salazar students had the chance to go on 3 field trips with the prep program during the vacation. Students attended Cal State LA on Monday, Cal State Long Beach on Thursday, and an escape room on Wednesday. We appreciate everything that Mr. Johnny and his team do for the students at Salazar. Everyone had an amazing time. Today at Salazar, we began our fourth and final quarter for the school year. Students attended their new classes as we look forward to preparing for graduation. On April 9th, we will hold our third quarter assembly. We will recognize those students for their accomplishments and academic achievements in the classroom. We are excited to always honor our seats. Today, as pupils came back from their vacation, they enjoyed seeing Salazar's beatification process in progress. New areas were created for the students and staff to enjoy. We are looking forward to the project's completion. We will be continuing our campus's transformation on April 13th with the tree planting event. We cordially encourage everyone to come in and assist us to plant a tree on our campus. Students at Salazar will also be taking the CASP and CAS test exams in April. On April 12th, our counselor, Ms. Martinez, organized a field trip to Cerritos College. The opportunity for students to explore the various programs that Cerritos Colleges offers and learn about college will be provided. On Thursday, May 2nd, from 5 to 7 p.m., Ruben Salazar High School will host its spring parent-teacher conferences. Parents will have the opportunity to see our campus, engage with faculty and staff, and find more about upcoming events. We cordially encourage everyone to stop by our campus. As you can see, a lot of wonderful things are happening at school lately. Thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you. Again, you're welcome to stay or you're welcome to go. I know you have homework and stuff to do. Thank you so much. So moving on to item 9, awards and recognition. Item A, recognition of our Rancho High School student athletes and athletic teams from the winter season. Mr. Guinea, Mr. Doctor, sorry, Dr.
Yes, you know what, if I can just say, how proud I am of this, opportunity to recognize our student athletes. Because we know one thing, we know that, the high school experience, it's not just about the academics, it's not just about these things, but it's about some of these extracurricular activities and student athletes. And what a great showing we have at our Rancho High School, what great athletes we have that compete at very, very high levels. And so who we have here today are those that have been selected, top of their, their field in terms of whatever athletic field they are in the winter sports, but also have kept up their grades at high levels. And so, that accomplishment that is because these athletes work hard, they practice long hours, and they're involved in various levels of extracurricular activities, and yet they are able to maintain their GPAs at very high levels. So we are so proud of the accomplishments that our students have, and Dr. Granado, you're here, so I know you're gonna tell us a whole lot about this, so thank you for being there.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Good evening, board, cabinet members, superintendent. It's my pleasure to be here on behalf of our athletic programs at El Rancho, and specifically tonight, our winter sports, our winter athletes. As an AD, I can see firsthand the different challenges that every season brings. Winter is a challenging season for several reasons. In terms of where it falls on the calendar, during this time of the year, our students are usually dealing with finals, and oftentimes their seasons, or the most important parts of their seasons, are starting when most of the rest of the students get to go home for 3 weeks and go on break. These athletes are out here at early times, at late times, traveling to different cities and representing our school and their respective sports. So I would like to give it up for them one time before we start. And before I explain what I want to do, I do just want to say a thank you to all our student athletes who are here, and a thank you to all our parents who are here. Thank you so much for representing our school. Thank you so much for supporting one another and for leaving your legacy and part of the story, growing the story of our school and our community. We're very proud of you guys. So thank you guys so much. So what we're going to do is we're going to first recognize student athletes who received higher than a 3.0 during the winter season. So we have all our winter sports represented. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask each group to stand up and I'll introduce their coach and we can acknowledge them, and then we'll have a time for photographs. After we finish that first part, then we're gonna recognize a smaller group of athletes who have received distinction for their athletic ability based in their respective sport. And after that, we'll be ready for your guys' comments. So we'll start off. Guys, when you hear your sport being called, I know some of you guys are already standing, so that's gonna be tough, but let's give it up for each sport and their coach. We have boys basketball coached by Coach Porter. We have boys soccer coached by Coach Hernandez. We have boys and girls wrestling coached by Ty Win. We have cheer coached by Coach Lascano. Girls basketball coached by Mr. Trigazani. Girls soccer coached by Coach Galvan. Girls water polo coached by Coach Martinez. And we have our soccer team coached by Coach Vargas. So what I would like to do, we can start in the order that we call the names, if boys basketball can rank their way up. And these will be our student athletes who received a 3.0 or higher. You guys will, the acknowledge will be able to take a picture with the board, and then we'll go in order after them. Parents, if you'd like to come and take pictures of your kids, feel free as well. No, that's after. Yeah, so. We also have Spanish translation available for anyone who might be in need of it. All right, guys, we're gonna call up boys soccer next. Parents, if you'd like to come and take up pictures of the kids. And then coaches, if you have your certificates, you can start handing those out as well. Okay, up next we can have boys and girls wrestling come up. Up next, we're gonna have girls basketball. Go ahead and make your way up, girls.
It's gonna get more and more confusing. By the time you go. I'll be like.
Parents, if you'd like to come and take pictures of them, feel free.
I'm gonna go close. Yeah, I told her, yeah. Actually, yeah.
I'm gonna yell. I'm gonna yell. I have one of those confetti things. I'll pull it out.
Free. So I am extra sure.
We're gonna call up girls water polo next.
You get ready. I don't know if I told you.
And our last group of call activities will be on something. Go ahead, get up for them.
I'm sure you've worked.
I lied, I forgot a sport too. We'll get it done, we'll get it.
Everybody else.
Then we're also gonna have girls soccer team.
She won the girl over here? Yeah.
Forgot another sport. Getting old.
I do.
Think you know, should I take pictures of the phone? I'm getting.
Maybe there's no signal here. Well, ¿qué hicimos? We already sent it.
Finally, we're gonna have Tier come up as well.
I didn't see.
One more round, it'll be our standouts. Yeah, before we move on to the final part of our recognition and awards, I do want to commend again all the scholar athletes who received higher than a 3.0 across our 9 sports in the winter. Please continue the great work. And parents, please continue to support your students, your kids to keep dreaming and to keep working hard. I'm so proud of everyone who's here. So great job, everyone. And so to close, we're going to recognize our student athletes who received first team Del Rio League distinctions. And in some cases, some sports are not currently in the Del Rio League. So we're going to recognize some athletic standouts for those sports as well. So we'll start with boys soccer. Aaron Moreno was the Del Rio League offensive MVP. For all of them? Because I'm gonna call them all up right now. Oh, all of them? Yeah, yeah. We'll have Francisco Zuno, who was first team Del Rio League for boys soccer. And we'll have Edwin Vasquez, who was first team Del Rio League for boys soccer.
Thanks, ChatGPT.
For girls basketball, we have Emery Riker, who made first team Del Rio League. For girls soccer, we have Nayeli Alvarez, who was the Del Rio League co-MVP. We have Elise Hernandez, who was first team Del Rio League. Not to be confused with Emma Hernandez, who was first team Del Rio League. We have, and for girls soccer, we also have Gabriela Perez, who was first team. Okay, for cheer, we have Bella Zarate, who was. For cheer, we also have Lily Gomez, who was. And for cheer, we have Victoria Lopez, who was also. For girls wrestling, we have Sabrina Garcia, who was first place in the league. We also have Emily Glass, who was first place still really. And lastly, we have Jaden Nguyen, who was first place still league for boys. We'd like to welcome the last group that just came on, that just went down. If your parents would like to come up as well. For a picture. So kiddos, if you were on the stage and your parents are here, go get them. For the memories.
Congratulations, congratulations.
Thank you again so much for allowing us to be here, for recognizing our student athletes. And then, you know, you guys are gonna speak to it, right?
Yeah, no, thank you, Dr. Goinaga. So we'll start with other comments. We'll start on this way. Esther, do you have any comments?
Just want to say, congratulations and all your hard work paid off, and thank you for representing Orange Unified, and not only Orange Unified, but our city as well. Thank you.
I'd like to take this time to congratulate all the student athletes, everyone involved, the coaches, but last but not least, to all the parents. You guys put in all the time and effort as well. You guys are right there with them, right beside them. You guys get to take them, bring them back. Best memories, I'm sure. I know I had some of my best memories are, taking my kids to and from and enjoying and watching them. So congratulations to each and every one of you. And on the grades as well, the academics, there's definitely a correlation between the sports and the academics part of it. So for you guys to be able to do what you do, win championships, win CIF titles, and still bring home 3.0 and above grades, that's awesome. So congratulations to all of you.
I want to say, parents, thank you. Coaches, thank you for all the hard work and the commitment to our students and to all the athletes. I commend you for your dedication, not only to be one of the greatest athletes, but also for keeping up your academics and your grades. And you just make us very proud. Congratulations.
Just echoing what my colleague said, just being in sports is a lot. Like Ms. Dr. Goinaga said, you spent vacations when you could be in bed, you spent mornings after school, plus your grades. So that's a huge accomplishment. You're a role model for our city. So thank you for being here. Parents and family, thank you for taking them to practices, to games. I know your weekends are full, but that just shows your love and support. So thank you again for being here.
Madam President, may I say something? Can you hear me?
Yes.
I just want to congratulate our student athletes. You guys model the way. We're in the process of kind of finding out what the ideal graduate for El Rancho will be, and you are all contributing that with all of your achievements. So very proud of you. Congratulations to our coaches and parents for your guidance on their road to success. So well done, everybody.
So thank you again for being here. We'll take about a 3-minute transition break so everybody can take pictures and head home. Thank you again for coming tonight. Moving on to item 10, public comments, items on the agenda, blue comment cards, Dr. Davis.
You know, I do not have any blue comment cards right now, so none at this time.
Thank you. Moving on to item 11, public comments, items not in the agenda, yellow comment cards.
I do have a few. And so we'll start by just reminding everyone about our policy related to public comment. And so let me read this statement, just part of our larger statement. The board welcomes this agreement, but it's important that this agreement be expressed in a meaningful and respectful manner. Speakers should not make personal attacks on other individuals. To promote these goals, we ask that everyone be courteous, patient, and respectful while others are speaking. Each speaker should feel free to express his or her viewpoint freely, but in a courteous and respectful way, speaking concisely and within the allotted time limits. Thank you. So we have a few items here. First, I think it's Fernando Islas.
Where's my pen?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Fernando Islas. I am a parent of a student here at El Rancho Unified School District, Cicely Islas. Last time I was here and spoke, I was vague with my information. I had urged you to take proper action in rectifying some situations at some of your schools. Due to your failure, it is time for full disclosure and transparency. Let me start by putting on record that immediately after the board meeting on March 12th, where a parent read aloud the disposition of complaint on one of these situations, which included review of policies and training for some of your employees at Rancho High School, we were notified that Dr. Kelson, your director of human resources, and the person that made these recommendations was on leave of absence, and a Mr. Matthews was going to be handling our matter. We, Cicely's parents, denounced this move. Not only does it look like reprimand on your part for holding your employees accountable, but you have just replaced the person that's been handling our situation since September of last year. To Mr. Matthews, I urge you to bring justice to this case to the best of your ability, considering you missed a few meetings and are 6 months behind. Now, continuing to the board. One of my requests to you on March 12th was to thoroughly investigate the grades appeal we had submitted to you after the superintendent incompetently upheld the grades. For starters, Mr. Villegas not only seemed unmotivated to investigate and make a decision on the grades, I actually don't think he even knew he had the authority to do so. He made statements to us like, some things are out of my hands, and told us to go to see the board. We submitted to you the same documents that we submitted to Mr. Villegas, an attachment of about 80 pages. For the P grade, the UN citizenship by Mr. Pereira, you stated it is standard practice that a fight during class shall result in UN citizenship. But this occurred under Mr. Pereira's watch, where Cicely is adamant that she did everything she could to prevent it and had no choice but to defend herself. It was confirmed by Ms. Soto Delgado's findings. Cicely is being penalized for actions of a student that we shared with you during closed session that is being suspended for fighting. I do not condone violence, but as a Marine, someone that has taken an oath to defend this country, I fully support the right to defend yourself. Furthermore, I didn't see you guys thoroughly investigate this case. On that day, closed sessions, none of you had a question. If you had a question, please raise your hand right now. None of you. For that reason, I am going to see that little by little, you all get removed from your position, starting with you, Mr. Villegas. We, the parents of the El Rancho Unified School District, to prevent further damage, are demanding your immediate resignation. If we do not hear a public statement by Friday, We will begin public pressure that is not limited
Mr.
picketing
Please finish
Picketing?
your comments. We finished during the time, just.
and further spreading of this information.
Thank you.
We have also started a website called
Thank
justiceforsicily.com.
you, Mr. Reed.
That's justice, the number 4, SICILEY.com.
Thank you. Dr. Vegas?
We have also, Cecilia Islas.
I am here today to speak up as to some recent rumors that have been circulating that involves my family and I. In December, I filed a formal complaint against Coach Lescano as to some incidents that had taken place that I didn't agree with. The most recent was a head injury that our daughter received during practice, and we were not notified of it. She claimed she didn't notify us. She didn't notify us because our daughter said she was fine. But this coach had always notified us of any injuries, big or small, our daughter suffered prior to us filing the complaint against her. She simply retaliated and didn't inform us because she was upset that we had talked to her supervisor the week before as to how inappropriate we felt a conversation was had with our daughter by her and the chair advisor. There has been different stories from her. At one meeting, we were told that she said she wasn't there at the tennis courts when the injury occurred. And then when we received the report with findings of our complaint, it states that she didn't see as she was on the opposite side of the practice area. I was baffled, but not surprised as to the lies that not just the coach said, but also other ERUSD employees said to cover their backs. The report starts off stating about how on July 30th, 2023, I aggressively approached her, accusing her of favoritism on the team. That was the first lie of the report. That day, the girls left to cheer camp. I was one of the last parents to arrive as my daughter forgot her megaphone at home and I had to go back for it. And I was one of the first parents to leave as I was illegally parked, blocking other parents to get out. The entire time I was there, I was by side a group of parents, and at no time did I ever approach her. It's unbelievable how an adult would stoop that low and lie to cover herself. That conversation never happened, lies after lie. How alternates had never been allowed at competitions, but then I shut down that lie with pics of previous alternates and competitions. Then how was the competition rule that alternates weren't allowed, but I sent and received confirmation from 2 of the competitions that was not one of the rules, and in fact, our daughter was even registered at one of the competitions. The cheer staff later said that it was due to cost and travel to the competitions. This has never been the case or issue, ever. Nevertheless, after the 12-7 head injury incident, things started to go downhill with claims that we were aggressive and we were trying to get the coach fired. That was never the case. If we were aggressive, where was our civilian letter? At no point were we given a civilian letter as to our aggressive behavior. I don't have to explain myself to anyone as a report with findings were made stating over and over that although our daughter was not discriminated against, she was treated differently. The definition of discrimination is treating a person or particular group of people differently. The findings state that there are various issues with communications with district employees and us, and I can guarantee you it wasn't our lack of communication. ERUSD staff and the superintendent are the ones who failed our daughter. If things would have been handled the way they should have from the beginning, the outcome would have been entirely different. The district talks about the importance of restorative practice, and that was never done on our case. The first meeting we had, the coach wasn't even there. Dr. Villegas, as the superintendent of the school, you should be leading the district by example. Dr. Villegas, on Monday, yesterday, when you confirmed that the invitation that came from your office for Mia to attend to be recognized today as a student athlete was sent to her in error, I asked you to call Mia and apologize for the mistake. You didn't call her. Instead, you had your assistant call her. You're supposed to be leading the district. You can simply make a call to your student apologizing for the mistake that came from your office. What a coward. How can we expect these coaches, teachers, administration, and staff to hold themselves accountable when the leader himself doesn't do it? I am requesting your immediate resignation as the superintendent of ERUSD.
Thank you, Ms. Islas.
Thank you.
Dr. Vegas?
We have Mia Islas.
Hello, board members and superintendent. My name is Mia Islas, the cheerleader that the Arancho staff have failed, and the name that has been in everybody's mouths. Because everyone who knows of my situation does not care to talk to me and ask me my side of the story, I want to set the record straight where everyone can see and hear. When my mom filed a complaint against Coach Lascano and my head injury on December 7th, our intent was not to get her fired like everyone is assuming. All we wanted was for a conversation to be held with all parties involved to try and resolve issues from before. Our Rancho staff did not follow up as they should have to try and mitigate the problem. Instead, they believed the lies from the coach when it was proven that she was untruthful before. I understand that you guys go off policies and laws, but how can you not see that your lack of action caused my attempted removal from the team? Dr. Villegas, take off your glasses that cover up all of the flaws that you have enabled and put on your father glasses. Bring your 5 kids to ERUSD and see how you would handle this situation and how angry you would be if you were in my family's shoes. A coach not checking in on her athlete that she has previously claimed to love is not okay. I was brave enough to speak up thinking I would get the school support, and I felt everything but support during this process. People decided to speak on the matter without knowing both sides of the story, and that is not okay. Instead of spreading rumors, be the change, be the bigger person and stick up for those in need. I would also like to mention that I received in the mail an invitation to be recognized with my team for our achievements earlier today. I was invited in air, and Dr. Villegas, you yourself uninvited me because of your lack of communication, which was proven in the disposition findings by Dr. Nelson, which I should mention is under a leave of absence right after my family spoke after the board meeting on March 12th, and my mom reported the findings she made about our ERHS employees failing at communicating and following through with their jobs. Who would it have hurt for you to allow me to be in a photo and receive a certificate because I was part of the first 3 wins of the season? Instead of bringing me up, you guys are attempting to keep bringing me down. I would like to end my speech with a quote I have said to both Dr. Villegas and Principal Goynaga. You both have failed me tremendously. Dr. Villegas, I am also requesting your immediate resignation as the ERUSD superintendent. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Dr. Villegas?
We have Anthony Islas.
Sorry, it's hard to go after my daughter. Hello and good evening. Dr. Villegas, what does your 8-hour day consist of? What do you do? I know it's not looking into complaints against your staff or looking into the well-beings of your students. Instead of reading Dr. Seuss books to TK and first graders, get more involved. Forget about the dog and pony show. There are bigger issues. These kids are not going to treasure that moment. They're not going to tell their grandkids that you read to them. There was an attempt to remove my daughter of the cheer team because people felt intimidated by her presence. But my 8-year-old daughter was slapped in the face by her teacher this year at Rivera Elementary. Do you think my daughter feels intimidated? What did you do to help my daughter? That's right. You attempted to take away her watch because she texted us that her teacher hit her. You're even incapable to follow your own district policy. No signal devices in ERUSD. Have you taken anybody's phones away? Their Bluetooth, their watches? Or you just wanted to pick on my 8-year-old daughter? Where's our formal civilian letter if we were so aggressive? The whole cheer squad and coaches are intimidated by our presence. Still, no letter. Maybe because there are multiple lies. By sweeping everything under the rug, you are 100% co-signing on their behavior, which is lies and falsifying records. How do we better our staff without holding people accountable? Dr. Kelso found 11 findings, and there shows that there is no standard of operation procedures, which Dr. Kelso found. So why is she on a leave of immediate absence? Maybe at one time you enjoyed your job and you wanted to make a difference. Unfortunately, the fire is out. And if you care about your students, you'll do what's best for them. You'll step down and consider resigning. Remember, I said this before, with the proper training, you guys can save a life. I And the way you can save a life is not by covering all their flaws in your school district by 11 findings that Dr. Casa found. The 11 findings that are found are kind of ridiculous. Is this the first time the school's been open? Is this the first time sports have been involved and situations like this came up? 11 findings, I really think there should have been more attention to our case. Should have been more attention to the board on our situation. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was the last one. We had.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to item 12, Labor Association reports. Are there any, I don't see ERFT or CSU. Nope. All right, moving on to item 13, information items. Item A, presentation on the high school English language arts adoption. Okay. No, I don't think it's information. Sorry. Sorry, thank you. Thank you, Esther.
Viegas, you can't hide.
Viegas, you can't hide.
Good evening, school board, community members. So tonight, we're going to present to you the 18-month, almost 2-year process that we've undergone to evaluate and hopefully adopt a high school English language arts curriculum. So tonight I have with me Summer Party. She is our amazing English language arts TOSA for the district, and she's really led the process. We haven't had an adoption at the high school level for English language arts in a very, very long time, in too long a time. So I'm going to hand it over to Summer, and then at the end, we'll answer any questions that you might have.
Hi, good evening, board, cabinet, parents, community, teachers. Hi, nice to see you all. I'm happy to be here tonight to share with you the nearly 2-year process that our high school English teachers have taken in hopefully presenting to you a curriculum to move forward to adoption for high school. So I want to start with a timeline and then dive a little bit deeper into certain parts of the timeline to give you a really good idea of how things went for us over this process. So we started back in fall of 2022. Our very first meeting with the teachers was called Developing a District Lens, and I'll speak to that in a little bit. From November to January, teachers were pre-screening 3 different publishing companies' curriculum. March, we had it narrowed down to 2. In May, we had the 2 choices come and present to teachers, help them start their pilot planning. Over the summer, teachers had an opportunity to plan for their pilots. And then moving into year 2, this past fall, first semester, teachers were piloting the 2 programs, one per quarter. January, we had results from paper screenings of those pilots. Last month, we had the front runner present to DAC and DLAC in a public forum and got some feedback from parents. And then should all go well, we're really hoping to bring the front runner in to start training our English teachers in late spring, hopefully May of this year. I just want to say before I move forward that this group of teachers were self-nominated volunteers from El Rancho High School and from Salazar, and they really dedicated a lot of time and effort into this process, which was very intensive, but was done with fidelity. So pending board approval, we're hoping that full implementation starts in fall of 2024 for the 24-25 school year and beyond. So let's start with developing a district lens. So At our first meeting, teachers started really looking at district data. And so what that meant was really looking at LPAC scores, CASP scores, our screeners, interim assessments. We were also looking at LCAP goals, our district mission. We were looking at what the high school is currently using as the ELA adopted curriculum. And from all of that information, we came up with what we were calling key findings or adoption considerations. And those were that our current district adopted high school curriculum was very outdated. There is no digital component, there were no supplementals. The readings were not necessarily relevant to our students in this day and age. We also recognized there was an evident need for a curriculum that had opportunities for students to collaborate, that had systems of support to reach all learners, and that we needed a more robust reading and writing curriculum. So these findings kind of drove what was happening during the pre-screening process, which leads us to pre-screening. So pre-screening, we looked at three companies. We looked at McGraw-Hill StudySync, we looked at Savas Learning's My Perspectives, and we looked at Houghton Mifflin Harcourt's Into Literature. And pre-screening really had two focus areas. The first focus area was how well Common Core ELA standards showed up in the curriculum, right? And so was there a connection between what students were reading and the writing that they were being asked to do? Was language integrated in reading, writing, listening, and speaking? And were there opportunities for students to practice those skills? So that was the first focus of a pre-screen. The second focus was really dedicated to integrated ELD. And so looking at how well ELA and ELD showed up in lessons, in units. Were we giving our multilingual learners an opportunity to practice speaking, reading, writing, accessing the ELA curriculum with an opportunity to move proficiency levels? So those were the two focus areas in the pre-screening. And from that, we got some numbers and determined two programs were moving forward to pilot. Those were My Perspectives and Into Literature. Now to piloting. So each member of our cadre had an opportunity to participate in an intensive evaluation of each of the two programs that moved forward into piloting. So teachers piloted My Perspectives first quarter of this past fall and Into Literature second quarter. And after each pilot, they were evaluating those programs based on 5 rubrics. So rubric 1, which was called Questions and Tasks to Support Learning, was really assessing or evaluating the reading standards, right? So key ideas and details, text-dependent questioning, reading comprehension. Rubric 2 was evaluating writing. Rubric 3, language, so that would be vocabulary, word relationships, language conventions. Rubric 4 was speaking and listening. And rubric 5, scaffolding and support. So again, what is in each program that's really going to support our multilingual learners? What is there in terms of differentiated instruction for students who are above or not meeting grade level? And both programs were evaluated with the same 5 rubrics. From that paper screening, we got different results. And so for Savas's My Perspective, it was a total of 511. HMH's Into Literature had a score of 377. And so the ELA cadre is recommending, based on those results, that Savas's My Perspectives moves forward toward adoption. And just lastly, I wanted to share some feedback. So we thought it was really important for students to have a voice because they really were part of this piloting process as well. And so when prompted with the question, which features in My Perspectives helped you learn best? Many of them stated they liked the unit structures where it was whole group and then small group and then opportunities for independent learning as well. They really liked the graphic organizers. They liked how clear and explicit all of the directions for tasks and activities are in my perspectives. And then to get a little bit more specific, some other feedback, they really liked the specific readings as you can see in the slide deck. They liked the pre-writing activities. They liked the essays that came at the end of the unit. They really liked working with people in a small group, and they liked ListenWise, which is a component of the program that fits with the digital piece.
And it's something that they already use. It's a program that the high school already uses, so they're already familiar with that program.
We also got some feedback from the teachers who piloted as part of the screeners, and some things to recognize that the teachers were saying about the My Perspectives program was that they really like the paired and the mentor texts. They like having the option to have a PDF or to push something out digitally to students. They liked the multicultural authors represented and felt that students don't often get to see that. So that was some information from teachers. And then lastly, what we heard from parents, they really appreciated the Google integration, the options students have to transfer the readings into their native language if they need that support, the rubrics, professional development that's available for teachers through the program, and just really how awesome it is to have a digital and a consumable that students can actually annotate in, take notes in, and having that option.
Thank you so much. So let's take it to questions. We'll start this way. Mr. LaFarga, do you have any questions or comments?
No, just a thank you for the presentation, and I'm really glad it was embraced by the teachers, students, and parents. So well done. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Dr. Marina?
Well, likewise, Jasmine, Summer, now we understand for those that didn't fully know or have an idea of what the process is for a new adoption. This is a 2-year. It's a very labor intensive, very tedious process. And so this helps everyone to better have an idea. And I know it's been far too long since the last adoption. I want to say 9 years, but it may not be that long, or for 20.
Over 20.
Over 20. I know it's been forever, and I was probably still here in the district. I don't know.
We adopted the year before I started teaching here was the last time.
Okay, far too long, and never mind why it's in, but the important thing here, what I appreciate the most is that this process has included the students, the teachers, and the parents' voices. Because if everyone is buy-in, and if they find it relevant, they're gonna use it. And so, just want to say thank you to all the teachers and everyone that participated in this piloting. And so, yeah, it's very clear and it's very easy for the board to see and make a well-informed decision in terms of what we need to have. More than anything, because now it's current in terms of the resources, the digital, etc., any includes all the components of a well-rounded literature program. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Contreras?
Thank you for the presentation. First and foremost, it was really well done and prepared. I think, from the results, it tells us that we do all learn differently, right? And this, my perspective seems to be able to handle the PDFs, the digital files, the options there for the teachers as well. How many students were involved in this? Or was it by classes or?
So to give you an exact number, I'd need to go back and pull the.
Approximately, I'm not actually asking for an exact number.
I want to say 300, but that's
Okay.
probably a very conservative number.
Yeah, and that's a very great, I mean, it's a big enough number to choose from. I was hoping it wasn't, well, I wasn't hoping it was gonna be like maybe 30 students, right?
Oh, no.
300 students, that's a good pool to choose and get these results from. So thank you for the presentation, and I trust that you made the right choice in this.
Thank you. Mrs. Mejia?
I had the pleasure of seeing the DAC and DLAC presentation, and parents asked a lot of questions. And it was really good because they did like it, but they had questions. They had some tough questions. But again, thank you for the presentation. Very thorough, and just everything that you put into it, it's great. I'm looking forward to the next adoption because I know that we're behind on other items. I think science for
It's already started.
awesome. That's great. So yeah, just continue to do what you're doing. You're bringing our district forward, and our students are the ones who are gonna reap the rewards. Thank you.
Thank you. By the way, this presentation is beautiful. Like design, detail, like just beautiful presentation. And just thank you again. I echoing what Dr. Marino, I believe it's Dr. Marino, I've said, the parent, the student, the teacher, the well-rounded, the ownership piece, right? I remember as a teacher, sometimes you were just giving curriculum, you kind of made it work. So I love that you're getting a feedback and, as well as from parents, and echoing what Mrs. Mejia said, I would want to see like a list of what are the adoptions that we are due and when we plan to bring them to board. So if we can maybe get that on a board update or somewhere to get some lists, or if you have information.
We have a cycle for, I think, the next about 5-6 years. So
Okay.
we're on a cycle, that elementary science is on now. Next is social studies, then it's with the math framework coming out, math is next. Then social studies elementary. So I think we're for the next about 10 years.
Okay.
So I'll put that in the board update for this Friday. But I do want to say thank you to the high school teachers because we're asking them to teach everything they were teaching right now. In addition, try 2 other curriculums. So Summer did an amazing job, but we asked a lot of the high school teachers. So from the bottom of our hearts, we just want to say thank you to them because we couldn't have done this without them. And our students are going to reap the benefits of this new curriculum. And I'm hoping that our teachers will find the labor that they put in beneficial because there's a lot of great resources that they're going to.
No, thank you again for the presentation and for your time. Thank you. So we're moving on to item B, overview of construction delivery methods. Dr. Vegas?
Yes, thank you. We have, I think, it's Ty our work from a partner in BBK. And he's legal counsel. He's gonna talk about facilities and really some of the construction delivery methods that are available. And he's gonna kind of guide us through some of the various ones and give the board an opportunity to ask questions if they choose to have that.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Villegas and board members for the opportunity to speak with you tonight. I tried to make this presentation high level and relatable. Sometimes us lawyers as construction nerds get too far into the technical weeds of things. But I do understand you have some upcoming facilities projects and you may need to consider different construction delivery methods for undertaking those in order to maximize your available budgets and resources. So we're going to try to talk a little bit about that tonight. And I'm certainly happy to answer any questions and dive further into the weeds if you have any technical questions with each one. All right, so in undertaking a facilities construction project, there's really 3 elements on this first slide we're talking about. You're ultimately talking about how do you enter into the contracts, the procurement type. With those contracts and the structure they create, they will define the delivery method, the title of the delivery method. And then within the delivery method, there are different organizational structures for how the services that are associated with the project are delivered to the district. Because as you're, I'm sure, well aware, what you've seen on all your contracts that you're approving, there are a myriad of contracts and there are a myriad of players in any construction project that all have to be, juggled by the district as it tries to get a project ultimately delivered on time and on budget, and again, as efficiently as possible. So the typical procurement process, you'll hear buzzwords about ones that are price driven. That's typically based on a bid price, a low bid price. You'll hear qualification selections, which are typically for services, not necessarily goods or construction, but services. And then you'll hear about best value processes. Best value usually evaluates and takes into account elements of both price and qualifications, and often create a procurement process that allows you to structure your evaluation to weigh and develop selection criteria based on not only the individual project, but also the individual needs of the district as they relate to all those things that are most critical to you in terms of budget and scope. What are the best practices? All of these procurements should have these same best practices followed regardless of what you're doing. That should be intended as a public agency on public works projects. You want your procurements to all be open, fair, and clear. Not just because that's a general legal requirement for all of these, but also because as a public entity in the marketplace, you're doing business with all of your vendors, all of your architects, all of your contractors, and you want to have, again, those same buzzwords applicable to all of your relationships with them to not only, again, get the best result for the district, but also ensure that both the district is treated fairly and the public fisc that you're protecting, as well as your vendors. So we'll talk real quickly about the overview of the delivery methods. I understand that we won't spend any time on multi-prime or lease-leaseback. Those won't be a good fit here, but we're going to compare and contrast design bid build, often called the traditional method, and design build, which is becoming a much more prevalent alternative delivery method. In dating myself, when the first design build project that I worked on back in the early 2000s, when the legislation first came into effect, it was only for projects over $10 million. We built a whole elementary school for only $14 million. Can't really do that now. I don't know if you could buy the property for $14 million in a lot of places. But anyway, as design build is becoming prevalent, we'll compare and contrast it. Design bid build, again, the traditional method, it's involving you independently contracting first with an architect and the architect design team. They will provide all of the design work necessary to generate a full set of plans and specifications, which, as you're all well aware, have to be approved by DSA before you can build anything. And then after DSA approval, key timing distinction here, is when you then formally solicit the bids for the construction work. And then, of course, you are constrained by law in the traditional method to award the construction contract to the lowest responsive and responsible bidder. Graphically, it sort of looks like this. You can see the owner has two independent contracts. You can see that it moves kind of linearly through the programming of the project, which is, feasibility, basics of what the project entails, design team then developing full set of plans, then procurement of the construction contract. The advantages, again, one of the most well understood, very traditional, very common. Contractors that are in the public works area and the K-12 construction area are well aware of this methodology. You get a single contractor responsible for all of the work. So that's one person to look to for any of the construction issues and problems. Sometimes people want to say, how many belly buttons do I have to push? Two potentially in the design bid build method. You have the architect and the contractor. And you do get initial price certainty because you are bidding a fixed set of plans at a fixed point in time for a fixed price. There's no negotiation. There's no subjective evaluation of any of the elements. It's awarded based on price. Potential disadvantages. If you get a bad contractor as the low bid contractor, the problems of the low bid contractor can live with the entirety of the project. Oftentimes, disappointed bidders file bid protests. Sometimes there can be significant claims if there are any errors in the plans and specifications developed by the architect. And again, one of the key components with people and clients of ours who don't particularly favor the traditional method, they are concerned that you're getting claims and errors from the architect, and you may be able to take that up with the architect and have some remedy against the architect. But as to the physical change in the building that has to be done, you have to pay the change order to the contractor to make the change to the building. So over budget bids may require redesign. And then another distinction of the timing here is design bid build, because you don't hire that contractor until after the DSA plans are completely done and approved. You aren't marrying up the design team and the contractor early on in the project. You're not marrying them up until after design is completed. So moving on to design build. So design build is really exactly what it says it is. You're procuring one contract for both the design and the construction. As we talked about earlier, the key elements of your projects in the K-12 world are you must have an architect of record who prepares and certifies the DSA approved plans, and you must have a licensed construction contractor to do the actual building. In design build, you're selecting them together as a team. You are having to make some early programming and criteria decisions, which you may have a separate consultant assist you with that. But you are ultimately hiring both the designer and the builder early enough that they hopefully are helping you scope the project, potentially giving you greater flexibility during the design phase, because again, the design phase is occurring before you actually can get to construction. You still do have to have the other consultants. You don't get rid of those, the project inspectors, the testing labs, all your other legal compliance associated with any school district construction project, but you are getting the design and the construction under one contract. Graphically, again, real simple, owner and design build entity, one contract. The programming there is kind of broken out because you are doing some level of that at the outset. You can do, as the statute has changed and gone from the $10 million threshold all the way down now to the $1 million threshold, the amount and the size of the programming you do prior to selection is variable, and it can be tailored based on the type of project you're doing. What are the elements of that project that you might need to plan, and then you would ultimately then issue an RFP and an RFQ and select the design builder. You get that single entity for both design and construction. Does allow for the potentially additional innovation because both the architect and the contractor are underway at the beginning. And that provides you, again, the project being viewed from both the lens of the person and company that's designing it, as well as the person and company who's building it, and all of the different inputs and perspectives they may have about what is a potential enhancement to the project, what is a potential efficiency that can be gained for the project, as we talk about the points on there about cost containment and potential cost savings for design and construction that can be achieved. The disadvantages are you do have to do a little more upfront planning because you don't have that architect retained yet. So you, as a district, have to make some design decisions and some administrative decisions about what is the project we're procuring, how we're going to procure it, what are the elements of the design build, both selection process as well as the design build contract, because you do get enhanced flexibility on both the procurement end and the contract end. And then you do need to manage the other risks that are associated with how are you managing design details, how are you managing oversight of the design build team, and then there are some additional skilled and labor requirements that are applicable to design build projects. But in your district's case, you already have a project labor agreement, so you actually satisfy some of those. So the statutory requirements that would apply to other districts will be substituted by your project labor agreement here. So which project delivery is best? So Ms. Padilla asked me this question right at the beginning. Our firm and myself have helped districts with all of the delivery methods. We're completely neutral. They're all tools in your toolbox. They are all equally available to you. It's really more about how do we choose the delivery method that's best for our district and our project based on all of the variables you folks are dealing with in terms of budget and time and structure, et cetera. Market conditions and contracting pool is also potentially very local to your district. Strategies for risks and uncertainties, those are all elements too that every district deals with in terms of when on an operational campus, when can be work done, when can be things to be scheduled, when can the contractor do this versus that. Risk tolerance is not intended to be referring to legal risk there, because again, all the methods can be legally done in a legally defensible manner. More about what elements of a project are you contracting for and tying your design team or your contracting team's hands on at the beginning of the project, but versus what other areas of a contract or a project might you be giving flexibility to your partners to try to develop more innovative results and within certain parameters associated with minimum scopes and budgets, et cetera. So really, that's kind of a real quick, high level intended view of it. Again, would want to reassure the board that all the delivery methods are statutorily authorized. They can all be successfully and defensively undertaken by the board. And I do know you have some upcoming projects which may have some of these budget and practical and scope challenges, and some of those may or may not, lend themselves to considering an alternative delivery method. And with that, I go ahead and think that's the end. So happy to answer any questions or dive further in the weeds if you really want to know about any of this stuff.
Thank you so much, and thank you for getting to the point. So thank you for that presentation. It was awesome. We'll start this way. Mrs. Mejia, do you have any questions or comments? Sorry.
No worries, I do. Hi, can you elaborate more as far as the design build? I know there was a standard design build and that was the new progressive design build.
Oh goodness, yeah, now we're getting way down in the weeds. So progressive design build is a new statute that is really, we only view it as a variation of the current design build authority. And all it is referring to and applying a process to is basically actually kind of procuring a design build project with, in theory, you're asking a lawyer, not an architect. Architect might give you a different answer. But as a lawyer, I would say the absolute bare minimum of programming and performance requirements. In other words, potentially zero development of your programming. And you do all that programming after award of the contract. Versus the traditional, in my mind, as a lawyer, is a significant amount of programming done before procurement. And programming is in the eye of the beholder. So that's elements of what are the mandatory elements for this project that we need. In other words, and I would consider that even, educational programming. What is it supposed to do? How many people is it supposed to accommodate? What are the minimums that it needs to have? Versus obviously in progressive, where you can take it almost all the way down to zero. You could just say, I want that over there. I don't know what size it is. I don't know how many people it's going to accommodate, but I'm going to choose my design build team now, and you'll go develop it. I do think another answer to your question that's, again, sort of far down in the weeds, and I'm sorry if I'm going too far, but you will take on some additional pricing risk potentially in that structure, because the actual guaranteed maximum price will be developed typically later in the process than if you have a robust set of programming criteria in the traditional design build. I guess that's not really a word, but traditional versus progressive, if that answers your question.
It does, thank you. And thank you for the presentation. And I want to say thank you to both Dr. Vegas and Ms. Padilla for looking into something like this, because as you stated, Ty, we want to maximize bond funding and also avoid escalation costs. And if this is something that's going to help get the project done quicker, it'll be a benefit for our community as well. Lastly, I'm assuming that we're not doing progressive, we're probably doing the traditional, but I did want the board to know what the difference was on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mejia. Mr. Contreras?
Thank you also for the presentation. That was very well done. How do we limit or how do we keep the transparency in the design build process, being that we're limited to the single contractor, right, doing the complete job? How can we be transparent and make sure that we do choose the right person, and that we're going through the due process as far as the transparency is concerned?
Yeah, so great question. And the statute is requiring you, in order to award a design build contract under the Ed Code, there is a required and detailed RFP process. And within that RFP process, and generally speaking, the ones that we've assisted districts with, we try to be very, very robust about whatever upfront information we would gather about not only just kind of the quals and experience, because you get that no matter what, and you'll score that and you'll evaluate that, but then you'll also evaluate at least some minimum level of basics about pricing. And all of the construction contractors and design build teams typically have a slightly different way they do that. So you will, and you should, and it would be a recommended best practice to incorporate within your RFP enough pricing information so that you're not only being transparent, but honestly, to me, even more important than the transparency is so that you, as decision makers, are able to evaluate what were the distinctions and differences between design build team A, design build team B, and design build team C. That's another element of progressive design build, and I'm not picking on it. And again, they can all be successful, but you would potentially ask for less of that in a delivery method. And I think that what has been successful and evolved in the design build world is there's a way to do RFPs that allows you to really try to get apples to apples. I mean, I think that's the one part to me where all the delivery methods should be similar for you. And at a high level, that's the questions you should be asking. How did we get apples to apples? And then which apple did we choose? And why was it best, for our district and for that project?
I think you answered the other question I was going to ask as far as quality concerns and change orders throughout the process. How do we control whatever change orders? And does that hired consultant help us in that aspect as far as hiring a consultant to guide us through the process?
Yeah, absolutely. You can do both. I mean, I think the negative, and I don't want to make it right or wrong on the design build about having to potentially pay the contractor for a design error. The advantage of a design build versus that is that the design build team has done all of the DSA approved plans. So for example, if they left out the doors on the building, then they own it all. Versus my other example, right? If the doors were left out, you still have to pay the contractor for the doors. You might have some recourse separately against the architect, but you still have to pay for the doors because they weren't in the original pricing. And so the intent of design build is again to marry the design team and the construction team up early so that you don't have a design without doors. Hopefully DSA would catch that too. My example doesn't really necessarily work all that well in practical reality, but you can understand the intent, hopefully.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Marina.
I just have a couple of questions. So with the design build, the risk is on the contractor and the architect. It shifts to the contractor, correct? As I heard.
Yeah. I think another, to overuse some of my metaphors that I've used is the contracting risk and construction risk to a district on any project, right? You could look at it like a pile of poker chips. And when you are doing the traditional method, you're kind of pushing some chips over here to the architect and they're taking on some level of risk, design risk. And then you're pushing the other pot of chips over here to the contractor for the construction part. In design build, you're taking the whole pot and pushing it over to the design builder to the maximum extent possible.
And also with the design build, it limits the competitive bidding, correct?
Well, you will not award based solely on price. You'll be able to award based on best value, so price and qualifications. You'll be able to take into account both. And I would argue that the earlier question would be exactly what you would want. You would want to have a robust RFP that takes both of those into account. And then not only does it take them into account from a contracting perspective, you want to manage all those from the beginning of the project to the end so that when you're getting the buildings and the hiring of additional subcontractors later on, they're all tracking the original pricing information that you collected from the design build teams and that they're contractually obligated to abide by.
So the district then has less control over the project on the design build.
I wouldn't say less control. I would say that it moves in a slightly more different manner. The district is still going to ultimately have to approve the plans and specifications. Plans and specifications are still going to have to be DSA approved. They're still going to have to meet the minimums of the programming. Sometimes there's a perception of less control because the architect, the design build team, does have to be given some level of the programming criteria at the beginning. But if it's done well and it's thorough enough, there really shouldn't be an element of loss of control. And the other element of design build that you're taking me down into the weeds on, but if you indulge me for a second, when you hire an architect a lot and you do design development, you're oftentimes part of that design development is X number of meetings with the architect. The architect comes out and they meet with the superintendent, they meet with the assistant superintendent, they may even meet with stakeholders for that individual project. All of that design effort should still be the actual work that's done of the design build team. They just will do it under one contract versus two. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. I have two other questions, but maybe I'll go on the second round. Okay, so as I understand it, the pool and the stadium, we have a design bid build, correct? Okay. And help me with this, board members. I believe the lockers with SBA were on a design build. No? Was that a design bid build as well? If I remember correctly, I think was a design. And the reason why I'm asking is this, because if we had a design bid build for the locker rooms, and now we have a design bid build, then that's to our advantage because then we can see how we can proceed with the future projects that that we have. It's, okay, so that's a question.
Tessie? Okay, yes, so I did go back and check, our district had never performed a design build project. It has we have only used the traditional design bid build method.
Thank you. Okay, that clarifies. Thank you.
Hector?
The questions I had have already been asked. I do think it's certainly something we should keep exploring, especially if it seems to me that we can maximize our resources. So we really want to do that, you know, so we can do more. But yeah, thank you so much for the presentation. Sorry I couldn't be there.
I'll go one more round if you have any more questions or comments.
I do, and I just wanted to share that there's a lot of projects that LA Unified did or is doing. So I did research on that. So just wanted to comment on that. And then also, what would Mr. Torres's the scope be doing if we were to do a design build? What would he be doing?
So Mr. Torres would, as a facilities project manager, he would be supervising the work and coordinating all of the details and reporting as his role, as our district has hired him last year to perform those duties.
I think in the future, I would like to hear from Mr. Torres because we really haven't heard from him. The past manager did come and do some presentations. And I would love to hear from him and if the board agrees. Thank you.
Any comments, questions?
Just one more question. I didn't have any, but who else would be included in the design team as you had mentioned, and do they have any previous experience with the design build concept?
So currently it would be myself and Mr. Torres and then legal counsel, of course, and then our purchasing director as well, Mr. Fitchett.
And do any of you three have the past experience in the design build process?
I understand it thoroughly and I've done other construction delivery methods. This is very similar to the others that we didn't discuss today, but yes, I do understand how it's done.
Thank you.
They all asked my questions, which is good. But I think just to reiterate, thank you, Ms. Padilla, thank you, Dr. Vegas, thank you for taking the time. I think for me, when I was looking at the advantages, taking the risk of plans and specifications away from the district, to me is like important, as well as the cost and knowing earlier the price certainty, right? We've had multiple hiccups in our current projects. So I think getting ahead of that to know the price certainty helps us. But thank you again. I know this is the first of the conversations. We just kind of wanted to get information, not deciding tonight, but just moving forward to get more information. Ms. Padilla, do you want to add anything to the presentation?
Yes, thank you for your questions, very good questions. And thank you, Mr. Dorward, for your support and guidance. I believe that we are at a point where we're starting to put a lot of things together. One of the board items tonight is related to making room for a potential building at the high school. So I just wanted to have Mr. Dorward explain what the next steps would be for you to consider an alternative method.
Yeah, and really easy answer. The statutory process for design build starts a little differently than the traditional model. But much like you might approve an architect's contract, you will take a first step in design build. Generally speaking, that would be some formal approval. You are under the statute obligated to adopt a conflict of interest decision and process for design build contracts. It's not overly complex, but you would potentially could do all that at once in one board action, and then you'd be off on potentially developing an RFP. And of course, that action would obviously need to identify which projects you were directing staff to proceed with it on. So that would be your first step.
Yeah.
just one last question. So for future projects, I understand it. If the board were to give direction on a design build, we would go out and search for a design, a contractor and the architect? Or are we going with the current architects, which is LPA and Ledesma? And
Well, so regardless of who you have under contract now, as long as they're not under contract for this specific project you're gonna do design build, it would be an independent architect and an independent contractor as a team would propose. And you would have to, by statute, run an RFP to select that team for whatever the identified project or projects is in your RFP. Does that make sense?
Perfect sense. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you again. So moving on, thank you. Have a good night. Moving on to item 14, comments and reports by Superintendent and Cabinet, Dr. Vegas.
Thank you. Oops, there we go. Thank you so much. Yeah, this is really appropriate because I was talking to someone just yesterday, or was it today? It might have been today, that 5 years ago, something happened, and it was at the spring break, I understand, and the building went down. And so it's been 5 years. And then also over the weekend, one of the board members sent me some pictures that I had not seen of the building. And it was really overwhelming for me to see what it was and what actually came down. And so to think about the possibilities of building that or building something that's going to be and that's needed, that's functional, that we need for our community is really exciting to me. And so it made me reflect on what the board and cabinet's team has done over the past the last 18 months, 2 years, where we're really making a lot of great progress in some of these benchmarks that we really needed and wanted for a really long time. And so we're really on path for the entire aquatic center and the stadium. And now if you look at the grading, you can actually see where everything's going to be. You see the holes in the pool where the pool's going to be, and you get a really good sense of how things are going to be happening. So it's really exciting to see that, we're looking at the NPRs, and I got to touch the material and see what the actual materials are going to be like, because all the renders that we've seen, but now it's at the next stage where these projects are actually going to start very soon, hopefully by July. And so these opportunities are starting to come together. What was once just a conversation is starting to happen. And it's really exciting to see that. And so, I wanted to start with that. The other thing I wanted to just talk about in general, because it's a little bit consistent, is in those same timeframe, some of the changes related to school security that we've had over this time frame. I mean, things that we didn't have in the past. We didn't have cameras, the type of cameras we have now. We didn't have the entry point ability to buzz people in and have a camera system to do that. We didn't have today we have 6 senior SSRs that will be full-time positions at the high school and at the secondary schools. We didn't have the police cars. We didn't even have an SRO with the sheriffs just at that time frame. So all of that in that time frame, these are new things. So there's been other things in place that we had. And if you recall, last year we were able to change some of the speakers that allowed us to have PA systems that weren't functioning, and we were able to change all of those. So I'm really proud and thankful for the board's actions in supporting and making these things happen, and just take a moment to recognize that many things continue to happen, enhancing our safety, and even bringing the canines to support the programs at the school sites on an ongoing basis to make sure that everyone's on their toes, and we're able to help students who may have some issues with narcotics or anything else. So again, we're not perfect, but we're certainly making huge strides in making things better and better related to the construction aspect, related to the safety, and all of that, is evidenced in the success that we keep seeing. Our students are continuously successful, academic decathlon, and athletics, and just right now we're close to starting testing, and students are really focused on the work that needs to happen. And actually, Ms. Castellano is going to share a little bit about some of the things that are also happening in the classrooms as well, and the other side of the house.
Well, welcome back. I hope everybody had a restful and enjoyable spring break. I sure did. But I also am pleased to share, and I want to shout it to the world, that El Rancho High School's decathlon team placed 5th place overall in the California State Academic Decathlon, and we're proud of their accomplishment. And I extend our warmest congratulations for this well-deserved accomplishment. And I'm sure they'll keep getting better and stronger as the years proceed. So congratulations to El Rancho High School. I'd also like to share that we also had a very successful intercession program where approximately 325 students participated in Think Together's programs at our elementary and middle schools, and students had the opportunity to participate in a number of activities and field trips that kept them engaged this past week. And finally, I'd like to ask for you to save the date for our Parent Summit and elementary schools open houses. Our Parent Summit will take place on Saturday, April 27th from 9 to 1 p.m. at Pico Park, and we'll have Roy Juarez as our keynote speaker in different sessions where parents can learn about how they can support their students, as well about the programs and resources our schools offer. We hope everyone can join us. Our elementary schools have their open houses scheduled for Wednesday and Thursday, April 17th and 18th. And we extend the invitation so that you may visit classrooms, as I'm sure teachers and students would love to share with you the work that they've done this past throughout the year. So thank you.
And that concludes our update. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you for sharing that with the schools. So moving on to item 15, Board of Education announcements and acknowledgements. So we'll start this way. Mr. LaFarga?
I'm gonna submit mine in written form to Jenny for the record. I can't speak for 3 minutes right now. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Thank you.
I hope you feel better.
Thank
Dr. Marino?
Good, well, Mr. LaFarga. I agree with you, Dr. Villegas. It is exciting to drive by. I drive by there every day by the high school, and to see the progress finally happening. It excites me every single day. Also, welcome back. I hope all of us had a very restful and great spring break and celebrated with family and friends Easter Sunday. I do want to thank the staff that worked through the spring break. I think everyone here in this room did. So thank you so much. And of course, that includes our school police patrolling the grounds, making sure the staff working were safe. And I know that you just mentioned, Dr. Villegas, the interviews took place. We have our SSOs up for approval. So I know that everyone here was busy, but some of you were relaxed. Some of us were relaxing away. I also would want to encourage everyone to spread the word for the upcoming community resource fair scheduled for next month, May 18th. I attended last year. It was very successful, and I am sure that it will be just as successful. There will be some performances by some of our students from the elementary schools. So please do come. I encourage everyone to be there. A lot of good information. I want to thank the group, Student Support Services, for once again coordinating this. A huge thank you to our CDO and your team for all of the work that you've accomplished thus far. We've spent the last 2 hours just hearing all this wonderful work that is in the makings. And not only are you as a team taking care of what's happening now, but looking ahead, looking at the future projects, preparing for that. So it's just all good work. I want to say congratulations to North Park for their robotics classroom. I had the opportunity to be there. I took my grandsons, and Lorenzo, who is the first grader at South Ranchito, he already knows what middle school he's going to. Definitely North Park. He just fell in love with the robotics classroom. I want to thank Dr. Carnes and Mr. Kraft for all the work, and of course, the staff that made it happen. What a great opportunity for our kids there at that school. Also, I want to encourage all staff, if you haven't already done so, please submit your nominations for the Employee of the Year. We have so many qualified staff here in our district that can easily qualify, but unfortunately it just goes to an individual. But please, I encourage everyone to do that. And with that, I close my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Moreno. Mr. Cordero?
Thank you. I'm gonna start with a public service announcement. El Rancho School, Police has their autism fundraiser going on. And in recognition of Autism Awareness Month, beginning April the 1st, the Rancho Unified School Police Department is joining the nationwide police patch campaign. For the month of April, Rancho Unified School District police officers will be wearing a special commemorative patch on their uniform, recognizing the Autism Awareness Month. To further raise awareness, these patches will be on sale for $10 a piece, and I just purchased 2 from Officer Gomez. Thank you very much. And proceeds will be donated to the Rancho Unified School District's autism focused classrooms. So I know last year some boards were made for the classrooms, which were very helpful for the students there. So doing great things, talk about our school police and what they're doing as far as community service and doing great things throughout our district. So thank you very much, Officer Gomez, for everything you do. And you guys see an officer, they have the patches on them, they're available. Thank you. Also, students from the IB program visited UC schools over the Easter break and had the opportunity to set foot on and tour these UC schools to help them decide what their future school of choice may be. So I want to thank all the administration and staff who helped make this possible and give our students the opportunity to visit these campuses. I know for me, it would have been a great big deal as far as being able just to set foot, just to get out of Pico Rivera. So this is a great help for these students. So thank you very much to all those that helped put this together. As mentioned before, the academic decathlon placing 5th, I think this is the highest in state. So this is the highest that they've ever placed. And I know that the future is going to bring just greater and greater things. Was mentioned also just a small shout out to Emma Hernandez for getting first team all-lead. She did a total of 16 goals and 12 assists. So good job to number 13 on the girls soccer team. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Contreras. Mrs. Mejia?
Yes. Thank you. I had the opportunity to attend North Park's open house. I wasn't able to attend the other 2, but North Parks was great. They had a really, really good turnout, lots of parents and students. And what I really loved about it was that you had Durfee students visiting as well. And they were exploring the classes, which was really neat to see. I was able to visit Mr. Kraft in the robotics room, which was nice. He was very happy. Had his shirts on display from the years that he's on the robotics club. And also I was able to see the Paxton room with Mr. Medina. He had it out. And again, the students that were visiting from Durfee were really intrigued. They wanted to see more. They were like, oh my goodness, seeing that little veterinarian one. So the kids were like, they're really excited about it. So I'm looking forward to seeing that continue to grow. I want to acknowledge our school counselors for their hard work on helping our students with FAFSA. It's been very challenging, very challenging indeed. And I just want to say thank you to them and also for our educational partner, Ms. Kelso, that helps us as well. And is it Kelsey in LA or someone else that helps? With partner, yeah. So just a big thank you to them for that. I would like to do a PSA. Save the date and honor Earth Day on Saturday, April 13th. There's going to be a school greeting at Rupert Salazar with Amigo de los Rios from 9 to 12. Next week is National Library Week. And the theme for this year is Ready, Set, Library. Cute little theme. To try to celebrate our nation's library, the contributions of library workers and promote library use and support. And I also wanted to share that I did attend a summit with Superintendent Thurman. It was on financial literacy. It was really neat because they had an elementary school from Oakland that's doing this financial literacy for their 4th and 5th graders. And these kids they have a business class by 5th grade. They would stop with the stock market, and they have a competition that they've been doing and they've been winning. And the teacher that ran it said that there's data that there's 6 times more likely to graduate if you have are exposed to financial literacy at a younger age. Anna Maria Lasardi was there, and she is one of the most cited authors in financial literacy. So I'm hoping that our district could glean some of that information from the summit. Superintendent Thurman's doing a task force and, there's an initiative for it to be a requirement. It's still down the road, but the work is going on now, and I think it's something that we really do need to look into, because personal finance for our students to learn at a younger age, starting in elementary would be great. I know there's so many initiatives, but this is it's a life skill. So I'm hoping that we could look into that. With that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Jenny, do you want to read Mr. Fargo, were you able to send Jenny your statement or?
No, I'm gonna submit it after.
Oh, okay. So thank you. I hope you had a restful spring break. I hope you enjoyed, especially the extra day. I think that extra Monday right after Easter makes a world of a difference. And echoing what Dr. Marino said and echoing what Dr. Vega said, I drove by this weekend, the high school with my husband, and I was like, this is my high school and we're gonna build a pool here and we're gonna do, and just talking about the projects that we're doing is so exciting. Like, cause I was like, oh, we're finally doing it. So I thank you for everyone for your hard work for that. I just want to say a huge congratulations to the academic decathlon team. You're putting us on the map. You're giving us that recognition, and that's one of our values here in the district. And that's a huge accomplishment. Just makes us so proud. And thank you to the teachers and staff, Mr. Malgar, Mr. Francis, all the parents, and everyone involved. I just want to say a huge good luck to students, teachers, all the testing. I know it's a lot of work. It's a lot for students. It's a lot for staff. So I just want to wish you the best of luck. Do your best. We believe in you. There's an AI conference coming up April 13th through the 15th in San Diego. It's completely free. I'll share this with you, Dr. Vegas, if anyone is interested. They're pretty much getting the best of the best, and it's just all about AI and education. And then sorry, give me 1 second. CSBA has their award nominations coming up. I think we should apply. Well, every year when we go to CSBA and we see the people that win, I'm like, we have that, we're doing that. So I really encourage us to apply. They also have facilitator opportunities. So if it's ethnic studies or mental health, again, I really hope that the district, we can be there and make our presence known. I also want to say huge congratulations to all the students who are receiving college admission letters, especially for the one that we had today, all the Cal States, the UCs, the Caltech, huge congrats to that. And, echoing what Mrs. Mejia said for the library, I just want to thank the Pico Rivera Library. They do the reading for toddlers. And so encouraging, my nephew's 2 years old, no, 1 year old. And he loves going to story time because he gets to listen to songs. It's both in English and Spanish, and he gets to read. And so just really, maybe in the future, we can potentially partner and some type of reading opportunity. So again, I just want to thank you. Have a good evening, and we will be back. All right, so moving on to item 16, consent agenda. Are there any items to pull, board members? Okay, Dr. Rita.
16.E.
16E, which number?
E, one.
Okay.
I have
Sorry, Ms. Freitas.
two, 16D as in David 1, and 16E 7.
Okay. Any other items so far, Fargo?
No.
Ms. Williams?
No, who's already pulled one?
Okay, so can I get a motion to approve the agenda as amended? So moved by Dr. Marino, seconded by Mr. Contreras. All in favor, say aye.
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 Perfect. Aye. 5-0. So we'll just go in chronological order. We'll go to 16D as in dog, 1 first.
I just had a quick question on it.
Yeah, sorry, okay. So, approve the purchase of virtual reality headsets and software. That's the one, right?
Yes.
Okay, can I get a motion?
So moved.
And a second? Moved by Mrs. Mejia, seconded by Mr. Contreras. Open for discussions with us.
Quick question. Just want to make sure that there's no equity issues. I know it's talks about having 25 pieces at 40,000 headsets, and it's for great things. I mean, it's going all the way from construction down to computers and different types of courses and stuff. I just want to make sure there's no equity issues as far as it being made available two other junior highs, because I believe this one's at Burke.
Go ahead.
So the goal is to provide career tech education. So what we started with Rivera Middle School and we created the Paxton Patterson Lab. And they got that first. They got that 2 years ago. So we invested through Tri-Cities ROP, we created that lab and that we used supplemental concentration grant and Tri-Cities ROP funding. And then we said we want to do that at North Park. So we saw the Paxton Patterson Lab, supplemental concentration grant. We were able to get a lot of those modules from actually another middle school in another district that they didn't use. So they gifted us those modules. But when we received them, we saw that a lot of the pieces were missing. So we were able to buy iPads, get Mr. Medina trained, get the pieces that were missing and buy additional, like the cosmetology module, that one's coming. We're buying another lab through supplemental concentration grants. So they have their CT lab. The only school that doesn't have a lab right now that has no CT is Burke or Steve. So in terms of equity, so that they also have CT, we're getting this for them. They wanted to do a little bit different. So they said, can we try this through the virtual reality piece? And Burke's a little different. Their technology uses a little different. So we want them to try something else. And maybe we then expanded to Rivera or to North Park. So their CT is going to look a little different. Each school is going to have CT career exploration, just that they're doing it a little bit different. So in terms of each school having career exploration, they're all going to have CTE now. They're all getting concentration, supplemental concentration grant in this area. So they will all have access.
Thank you. And thank you for the clarification. The 25 pieces are, how should I say, they're good for how long? Or are they under warranty? Should they, I mean, it's.
Yeah, it's a good investment. So one of the things we definitely want to do, and Tony's here, so I think Tony can share a little bit, is before we even did this, we asked the company, can you give us a set? And so Tony and our IT department and Mr. Yanela, there he is. So we asked him, can we take a set of the goggles and play with them? Because we didn't want to get them and then, hey, they're not compatible. So Tony, I don't know if you can speak a little bit to what some of the recon work that your team did to make sure that they were compatible.
Sure. So we actually had 2 visits from the company to come down and talk to the IT department and show us what the actual hardware was. They're run through Meta. None of the information that is on the devices is going to be recognizable. So the student's information is going to be completely anonymous. Anything that's used is not going to be identifiable. As far as warranty, your question, Mr. Contreras, they have their standard a year, but the software itself is a 3-year license. So it is something that would have to be renewed after 3 years.
Great. Thank you so much for the information.
Can I ask a question? So I keep reading that it's for the experience, but in terms of CTE, what is the career that they would be going? Just clarify.
So there's different pathways within there. So there's like a construction pathway. There's different what we wanted to do is, so what we're trying to do in the Paxton Patterson and on these is really tie them to exposure to the pathways that they're going to then go into at the high school. So for example, at the high school, you have construction, you have hospitality, you have sports medicine, you have the medical sciences. So we want to give them a little bit of exposure to those as well as other different pathways. So you have some drone technology there, you have other pathways just to give them a little bit of idea of what it looks like. So when you go to North Park and when you go to Rivera, you might have seen Dr. Marino, you might have seen Ms. Mejia, that there's also a forensic one. So they actually learn how to dust for fingerprints, like if they would at a crime scene. So one of the things that our kids have been saying, even when we were exploring, bringing back the 3 years of science, is our kids said, we'll do 3 years of science, but give us things that are hands-on. We want to see tangible things that we can actually do with our hands. So we want our kids to do career exploration so they actually learn seeing things that are, hands-on experiences.
So there's, just to give you the list, it's nurse assistant, medical assistant, carpentry, welding, robotics, drone operations, vet tech, agriculture, CSI crime lab, STEM, STEAM careers, and job shadowing and career exploration.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify. So it's literally just visualizing the career. Okay, because I was under the I was trying to figure out what is the skill that they're, is it to build a VR set? Is it to build the code? So that's why it makes sense. It's literally to visualize
What it would be
career.
like. Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Well, and also there's a little bit more experience too, because when they got to try out the welding module and they got to do the actual hand motions, and it was very precise, like something that they took it to actual trades and they tested it. And they're like, oh, this is close.
That's
So
awesome.
the kids will get that experience.
And I think, I know that you're saying that every school has that, but I would equity wise, like in the future, if we can have those headsets at the other school sites for me, that if we can look into.
And we could possibly, so we were to try one place and maybe we bring Paxton Patterson to STEAM and we make,
Yeah.
so a little bit of crossover. We wanted to start at one place and see what works.
Sorry, Esther, do you have?
I do. So I also have the same question as far as equity, and I know that now each of the sites have something, but, I wouldn't like the Paxton to have gone to all three at the same time, rather than you have the haves and the have-nots. This is neat. But I know that it's virtual, but it's not the same as they're doing it. So my question was, as far as what classes it's gonna be in, is it specifically CTE or is it a unit rather than, it's a, semester long course? Yeah, again, having that hands-on and that they're actually exploring, finishing a module, or multiple modules, because I've seen these type of courses at other school districts, and some of these students, they go through different ones. They don't just finish one, they'll move on to the next one, and it's really exciting for them. And that's one thing that I'm really happy that you're listening to what the students want as far as like engagement, and it's something that they're really follow through with.
And that's the goal, is to expand it, which try different things to see what our kids really gravitate to. The goal would be add a Paxton Patterson lab and they have these different options.
And just my last comment is, I do think that North Park needs more.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Rivera's yet, and that's gonna be my goal, is to go visit them. But I do feel that they need more furniture, more of, clothes. Again, I've seen it at other school districts. I'm like, whoa, they're working, these kids are baking, so cute. They're doing a little culinary, or
Yeah.
like you said, forensics, they have their full on, they're there, they have their little unit self-contained and they're working. So I'm hoping.
We're adding 2 more. So at North Park, they need 2 more modules so they can have a class of 32. So we're ordering, I can't remember the second one, but I know the one that we're super, not to be partial, but the one we're super excited about is the cosmetology one. So we're adding that one and then 1 more, and then we'll have the 32. So we can have the 16, because the kids work in group and partners. And so we need 2 more for that. But yeah, I invite you to come and let me know when. I would love to take you to the Rivera one. It's so cute. We have tons of videos of what the kids can do. And they get really interested. You saw a little dog for the veterinary one. It's very cute. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, just one last comment. My recommendation is, in the future, when something comes up and there's a new program or should pilot something, let North Park be the first. That's all I ask.
All right, moving on, can I get a motion to approve this item? Sorry, yes.
Oh, you have it, yeah.
We already got it. So let's move on to item. Yeah, we did. Oh, okay. I don't need a motion to vote.
You already did.
Okay, sorry. Let's take a vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any questions? Hector, did you have any comments?
No, thank you.
All right, thank you. Moving on to item 16E1. Let me pull it up. So approve the agreement with FUSCOE Engineering Corporation to perform topical graphic mapping and identify underground utilities for the relocation of the adult transition program. Can I get a motion?
Move.
In a second. So moved by Dr. Marino, seconded by Mr. Contreras. Discussion, Dr. Marino?
Question and put it to the board. This is 29,300 payable from the ER bond fund, which I understand is perfectly legitimate. My recommendation, we want to always safeguard ER funds for the projects that we just discussed and talked about, and we see that are happening now and in the future. Request that this expense be taken from the special reserve for capital projects rather than the ER funds. Fund.
Yes, we can make that adjustment.
So it's up to the board.
Is there sorry, can you just explain the reason why that fund versus this?
Because we have other funding that can cover this work, it would save over $29,000 that would stay in the ER fund for the projects that are underway and the future projects.
What are your thoughts, Ms.?
It's a board decision. and I do understand what Dr. Marino is requesting. We have different pots of capital outlay authorized uses. If we are to develop work for the ATP program in the future, that will be a project that will renovate the classrooms for these students. Potentially that could also be used with ER funds. Again, it's a board decision.
Any discussion, Mrs. Mejia?
I think that it's okay to be an ER and we want to show the community that it's not just for the high school, that this is for our ATP students. I don't have any problem with it being a measure ER expense. We've had other expenses that didn't go anywhere, and this is very important for our ATP students. I see it as it's 29,000, it's not $1 million. It could be maybe later when you do but again, I think that this is showing that we're not just the high school, it's for the entire population.
Any other comments? Mr. Gonzalez?
Just one question for Jill. Is there one advantage for one over the other? Is there a time frame? Is there use it or lose it on either one? More money in one pot than the other, or is it just by choice? In other words, why was it taken out of the ER fund in the first place?
Because it's for classroom improvement and that follows the language of the intended use for the bond. And no, there isn't use it or lose it. Typically, we prefer to, once we start a project, to stay with that funding source for all expenditures so that we can track those expenditures.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments, Hector?
Does it put anything at risk, Jill, if we spend this from the measure ER?
No, sir, there isn't any risk. It's just a preference that the board can decide. And then whatever the board decides, then we would maintain that source of funding as long as those funds are available.
Thank you. I mean, I'd go with Gio's recommendation. I mean, she looks at this every day, so. But I'll go with what the board decides.
That was good. I know you said it's the board's decision, but given your expertise, your background, for me, I would want to hear your recommendation.
We had recommended the ER funds, again, because there will be a lot of work. For example, we're looking at parking. We're looking at lighting, DSA approval. There's several components to this for our ATP program. These are our students, and the classrooms would definitely be changed and improved to accommodate for this program.
Okay, any last comments?
One last comment.
Yeah.
Whatever the board decides to do, I will support the board. It is just that, I see 54,000 going for a change on some of the design. And then I see 29,000. So it doesn't sound like much. What's 29? Well, for me, it's a lot. What's 29,000 out of millions? It's just a small amount. But whatever the board, the direction of the board, that's fine. I do want to clarify something. ER funds have been used across the district, not only for the high school. We have the locker rooms, we have the multi-purpose rooms. So for the community and everyone to understand that we are spending this ER funding across the district. Thank you, and I will support the decision of the board.
Thank you. So we'll take it to a vote. We'll start this way. Mrs. Mejia?
Yes.
Mr. Contreras?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Dr. Marino?
Yes.
And Mr. LaFarga?
Yes.
So we'll continue as this. All right, moving on to the next item, 16E7. So item 7, approve authorization to replace furniture for El Rancho Adult School utilizing the Duarte USD furniture piggyback contract bid number 192004. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Ms. So moved by moved by Mrs. Mejia, second by Mr. Contreras, discussion.
Yes, again, quick question on I noticed that the invoice was directed towards Florida. Is it furniture is all coming from Florida, or is that just where the invoice is directed from? Are we working with the local furniture place?
So this is a quote. It's not an invoice. I wanted to clarify that because an invoice would mean that we've already purchased them.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
We have.
Oh, yes, you're right.
So the quote, the company is in the United States. It's not an overseas company. This is the low quote for a company that has representation in the United States, that has representation in LA County, and is a reputable vendor.
So I guess what I'm asking, are we using first of all, local companies? And you just mentioned that it was the lowest quote, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Because we're looking at 260,000 total, that would include the delivery and also the assembly of the furniture, correct?
Correct. And we did a comparison.
Oh,
Yes.
okay, great. And then also that's coming from where? Where the money's coming from?
So in this case, we are recommending the use of special reserve for capital outlay because this is not an ongoing expense. And we will be bringing to the board some additional improvements, the color of the front of the school, certain things touch up here and there. Those we would probably use deferred maintenance for that. So because this would not fall under the purview of the bond fund, then we are using these other funds.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Just a quick comment, and also just to add to what you just mentioned, we wouldn't be able to use measure ER because no FF&E can be used from ER. Thank you.
All right, taking into a vote, I'll start this way, Mrs. Mejia,
Yes.
Mr. Contreras.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Dr. Marino will be abstained, and Mr. LaFarga.
Yes.
4-1, moving on to item 17, new business action items. Superintendent's office, item A, number 1, adopt the resolution number 4 for 2023-2024, recognizing the month of April as National Autism Awareness Month. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
So moved by Mr. Contreras, seconded by Mrs. Mejia. Dr. Villegas?
Yes, as it has been mentioned, is Autism Awareness Month, and so we want to have resolutions. So we want to just to share a few things. What we're going to do differently this time, instead of reading the resolutions, we're gonna talk about the points of the resolution, and we're going to share if there's some events or some things that we're doing specifically in our district related to some of these resolutions. So I know we have Ed Services, so let's going to read it, please.
Well, as Dr. Villegas just said, and we know April is National Autism Awareness Month. It is during this month that we promote education and awareness of autism spectrum disorders, as well as dispel myths and misconceptions while furthering acceptance and inclusion for individuals with autism. To support our programs, our school police department is selling the patches for $10 to further support our district autism classrooms. So through education, advocacy, and community engagement, El Rancho Unified School District strives to have schools where students and individuals with autism are valued, respected, and given equal opportunities to thrive. We ask our teachers, students, and staff to join us in promoting inclusion, understanding, and acceptance throughout our classrooms, schools, and community so that together we can make a more compassionate and welcoming place for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cassian. Moving on to item 2, adopt resolution, sorry, we need a vote, sorry. Thank you. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Perfect. So moving, passing 5-0.
Did we read did we go through it?
No, so do you want to talk about it again, Dr. Megan?
So one of the adjustments we were going to do this time, rather than read the resolutions, we were going to just talk about the impact of the resolutions and when there's something that's happening in our district related to those resolutions, let the community know what we're doing related to that piece.
Thank you.
Thank you. No, it's okay. So moving on to item 2, adopt resolution number 45, 2023-2024, acknowledging climate change. Can I get a motion?
So moved. Second.
So moved by Mrs. Mejia, seconded by Mr. Contreras. Discussion, Dr. Vegas.
Actually, Jasmine Chaz is gonna share some thoughts on that one.
Here at the Rancho Unified School District, we recognize the urgency of this issue and its profound impact on our students, our communities, and the planet. Our planet is changing from wildfires and extreme heat to rising sea levels and disrupted weather patterns. The effects of climate change are becoming increasingly real for all of us, especially our future generations. The El Rancho Unified School District believes that education and action are critical in addressing this challenge. At this year's STEAM PBL showcase, the sixth grade class answered the question, how can we adapt to climate change? Our students are learning about options to combat climate change. In addition, Rio Vista, North Park, El Rancho High School, and Salazar High School are all participating in tree planting events, which offer a wealth of benefits, impacting students, the environment, and the school itself. Some key advantages include improved learning environment, enhanced air quality, stronger community building, hands-on learning, beautiful campus, habitat creation, reduced energy costs, climate change mitigation. Our students, teachers, and staff are all working together to ensure that climate change is something that we keep at the forefront and ensure a better future for all our generations. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any comments?
Yes.
Ms. Mejia?
So thank you for that, highlighting how it's actually, being done, that's how it's being impacting our students, right? But I also want to make sure that we also possibly look at when we do our procurement, doing through that equity lens, not equity, I'm sorry, the climate change lens, right? And also even when we're doing the asphalt, we're gonna be doing asphalt again, right? But that only contributes to the heating process, right? So I'm hoping maybe we could do a feasibility study as far as pervious pavement rather than asphalt. I know the colleges, universities, they're doing that already. But I mean, it's getting hotter. I mean, like, you've seen the weather patterns that have been occurring. And I think that we need to start now doing some actionable things at our district level. I'm really glad and happy that the students are learning, but they also need to see that we're also moving in that direction as well. If we can have some consensus on that. And that's it. Thank you.
Mr. Contreras?
I'd also just like to add, I've asked in the past as far as, what helps us in climate change. For example, our trash companies, our recycling companies that we share, or we look at sharing with the companies that the cities use, so that we're having one company in our city doing that exact same thing, and not two companies with two different vehicles in our city doing two different, the exact same thing, which helps to reduce the number of vehicles in our streets, the pollution given by those vehicles, and the heat that's given off as well. So we can look into that, like Mrs. Mejia said, things that we can do as a district, work in conjunction with the city to be able to use those same companies to help reduce some of those green waste emissions. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments, Mr. LaFargo, Dr. Marino? No. I think echoing, I've asked for that too, like if we can, I didn't think about maybe joining the city. Because every time even after this, right, when I drink water, I'm like, where's the recycle bin, or where's the green bin, and green, the green waste, I mean, I've been getting into gardening, it's compost, like the schools gardens, like they can use that food waste and use it for compost. That's so great. And even gardening itself, I love that the schools are embracing that, because gardening actually, if you knew how much water waste, your salad kits just in the bag, like that is so much water waste, like, and it's so cheap and so easy to plant, lettuce. So I love that the schools are embracing that garden piece. But I do, echoing, I was going to put that as a future, if we can look into some union with the city for the waste containers that I know we've talked about for a while. Okay, so moving on, so we'll take a vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Perfect. So 5-0. Moving on to item 3, adopt resolution number 46, 2023-2024 in support of California Senate Bill 1315. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Mejia, seconded by Mr. Contreras. Dr. Vegas?
Yeah, and this was a request. I think that, it's a new bill, and it's in support of something that really will help the schools. And I know, Ms. May, I think you're gonna be the one to read this, are you gonna read the resolution or wait?
Yeah, sure. Okay, here we go. El Rancho Unified School District Resolution Number 46, 2023-2024, supporting California Senate Bill 1315, SB 1315. Whereas the El Rancho Unified School District is committed to promoting effective governance and accountability within the public education system. Whereas Senate Bill 1315, SB 1315, as introduced by Senator Bob Archuleta, aims to streamline school accountability processes by reducing unnecessary reporting requirements for local educational agencies. Whereas SB 1315 seeks to enhance transparency, efficiency, and effectiveness in the administration of public elementary and secondary schools in California. Whereas SB 1315 mandates the State Department of Education to provide regular reports to the superintendent, the governor, and the legislature regarding the number and types of reports required from school districts, county offices of education, and charter schools. Whereas SB 1315 requires the State Department of Education to include recommendations for consolidating reports to minimize the administrative burden on local education agencies. Now, therefore be it resolved by the El Rancho Unified School District, 1, that El Rancho Unified School District fully supports California Senate Bill 1315, SB 1315, and its objectives to streamline school accountability processes and reduce unnecessary reporting requirements for local educational agencies. 2, the El Rancho Unified School District urges state legislators to pass SB 1315, recognizing its potential to enhance transparency, efficiency, and effectiveness in the administration of public schools in California. 3, the El Rancho Unified School District commits to cooperating with the State Department of Education and other relevant stakeholders to facilitate the implementation of SB 1315 and to provide input on recommendations for consolidating reporting requirements. 4, the El Rancho Unified School District will actively engage in advocacy efforts to ensure the successful passage and implementation of SB 1315, recognizing its potential to benefit students, educators, and communities across California. Adopted by the El Rancho Unified School District Governing Board of Education in Pico Rivera, California by resolution number 46, 2023-2024 on this second date of April 2024.
Great
Good comments?
Yeah, I just want to make sure that the senator received a copy of the resolution and possibly email it. I'd be happy to email it on your behalf to other legislators as well, so they can see the support.
That would be wonderful.
Yeah. Sorry, let's take a vote. All in favor, say aye. Oh, sorry, you had a comment? Okay, I was wondering. Okay.
This is really an interesting Senate bill. Because I often say state requires too many reports from school districts at all levels. So it's good because, this will minimize some of the work that everybody's doing here. What will be interesting is what will be the criteria to decide which reporting will no longer be not necessary, but required, and what will be in its place, okay? How will school districts now demonstrate accountability efficiently and effectively? So stay tuned because I'm really just wondering what will change. Very interesting. It's a good article not article, Senate bill for everyone involved. Thank you.
Thank you. Did you want to say something, Dr.?
You know what, I like the attempt of what's gonna happen, this idea, I mean, I think they're gonna take input from different people to see how this could work out and its efficiency, but at least the recognition that there's just way too many reports out there, there's way too many plans, there's way too many things out there that require the reporting. So I think it has a lot of promise.
If I may add, fun fact, there is no number.
Yeah, they don't have.
There's no number right now. They don't know how many reports are out there. So that was very telling.
So we're gonna get a report on the report.
Yeah, that's another report.
All right, so moving forward, any last comments? Do you want to say anything, Chaz? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Hector?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, sorry, thank you. 5-0. So moving on to item 18, recommendations for future agenda items. Board members, are there any items?
I have one. So we had an item today for CTE, and I had shared an article with Dr. Villegas as far as CTE in elementary schools. And I think we have, our innovation labs right now. And what if, possibility, just maybe for discussion, what if we started with units, something at the elementary level in our innovation labs? May I have a second?
Like what?
Second.
Help me understand.
Sure, it's exactly the same thing what they're doing right now with the Paxton. There's another district that's, they're doing that at the elementary level for their fourth and fifth graders.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Sorry, Mr. Contreras.
May I have a second?
Yeah,
Is that-
I second.
Yeah.
So I second. I just have an ask. I know we, when we started or prior to building or the construction going on at the high school, we did have a evacuation plan, I believe. So can I just get an updated one on the evacuation plan? Because I believe right now, everybody's meeting in the back of the school, even the people that are exiting through the front, and they're walking down the alley area, I believe, and everybody's meeting in the back. I believe it's the tennis courts. So I'm not certain, number one, why are we using the parking in the front of the school for the people that go or exiting in the front? And then the people in the back, because I don't think there's enough room for everybody included to meet in the tennis courts. And then also, if we can, in looking in that safety plan, there's a buzz-in for the administrative office, but there's no buzz-in for the attendance, which is right next door to it. So I do remember back in the day with the attendance, there was windows. And I don't know if that building can accommodate for windows, so that way we're not having to buzz everybody in, because I know the students need to get in that are coming in late. But I don't know if it calls for an update on the plan or just to revisit the plan, if we can get a.
Yeah, I would love to revisit that. We started the conversation, I think it was brought up, one of the board members in the past. We'll go ahead and continue with that conversation and see what we can do related to that. I know that there's also long-term effects of that, like they're thinking about maybe in the future, moving that attendance to a different location, so whatever we do, I think would be to address it now, knowing that it could change in the future.
So just for clarification, is it a board update or a discussion item?
Just an information item, yeah, because I think prior to starting the construction, I think there was already a plan set. So I just want to see if that's the case, if we can look into possibly doing a secondary, because to have people that are leaving out of the front of the school and having to go down and go all the way to the back. Number one, I think it's too long, lengthy in case of whatever emergency is going on. And number two, I don't know if we're able to hold everybody within that. I think it's the tennis court areas with where the meeting place is at.
So informational item and then board update for the evacuation plan?
Yes.
Okay. And I'll second that.
Thank you.
Any other items? I just have one, if we can, for future informational, if we can get an update on the mini pitch.
Yes.
That we've done, yeah. Okay. Any other? All right, moving on to item 19, adjournment, adjourn the regular Board of Education. Dr. Marino.
Again.
I'm gonna read it slow, I'm just kidding. Adjourn the regular board meeting of educational meeting of April 2nd, 2024 at 9:20. Moved by Dr. Marino, seconded by Mrs. Mejia. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Perfect. Have a great night. Thank you for coming.
No, it's okay. I know.
Night, everyone.